Hello! In this here presentation I am going to give you some of my insights regarding Edward Snowden, the most, or at least one of the most known whistleblowers of the modern age. Now, as you probably know, in 2013 Edward Snowden leaked out a series of classified documents to several reporters who then proceeded to make them public, to expose them, as it were. Now, this has caused a lot of debate because these documents, they contain vital information about how the government handles security, how they were to single out potential terrorists, and how they spied on a number of people, anyone they suspected of just possibly even considering anything that would harm the country. So this was mostly the National Security Agency and the CIA who did this, both of whom Snowden worked for. Snowden had worked for both the National Security Agency and the CIA, as it's difficult to explain in layman's terms, but as a computer specialist, more or less. He was one of the people with top clearance. He could see all the stuff that was going on, all the things that the government was doing to single out potential threats. And he decided to leak this information, make it public, which the government didn't exactly like. Now, Snowden's reasons for doing this can be debated. Some people think he did it to harm America. Other people believe he did it to give the people the power they needed. So basically, it's a difficult thing to not have a pretty strong opinion about, because it affects everyone. Because you do not have to be guilty, or even you don't have to even be under suspicion to be monitored, to be spied on, really. It's like the government will look at mostly anything from your phone history, who you've been in contact with, and sometimes they even would use your online sexual history to sort of besmirch you later, just as leverage, more or less. Now, according to Snowden, he did these things because he had seen every day these things which he considered unethical, and how casually they were handled among the government. He would go to someone and he would talk about these things, and they would treat it as if it were just a normal everyday issue, which to him apparently it reached a certain breaking point. And I believe this story. I do because like any government official, Snowden had to go through well, he's not an official, but like any government person working for the government, he had to go through a polygraph, a lie detector test. And also in 2009, this is very ironic, in 2009, under a pseudonym on an online website, he wrote, and I quote, that all leakers of classified information should be shot in the balls. So clearly he had a bit of a change of heart. Now, the thing about these documents is also, one thing that's important to note is that he didn't release them all in one pile. He didn't release one big bomb, as it were. He leaked some documents, and he still has documents that he leaks gradually. Some things didn't come out until 2015, 2014, and some things apparently he still has contact with, because according to one of the main people at the National Security Agency, he had, while they don't know exactly what he intends to use or what he may have downloaded and brought with him, they do know how many documents he was able to touch, how many he was able to see, and that was apparently over 1 million documents. That's a pretty sizable amount considering what has been released, which aren't that many. Now, Snowden's reasons for not releasing everything at once is it's questioned by a lot of people. It's not sure, no one's really sure why, and he hasn't really said anything about why either. Now, I think one of the reasons might potentially be that if you release everything at once, it might be too much to wrap your brain around, or it might be forgotten too easily, as opposed to releasing little bits of information here and there. No, and there are others who, these are mostly people who think he's a traitor, which I'll get to in a moment, because that is the main topic here, whether he is a hero or a traitor. Now, a lot of people who think he's a traitor, these are kind of extreme in their opinion sometimes, but still. Now, they believe that in his attempt, this was an attempt to harm America, to harm the government. I've seen some people draw parallels to the psychological warfare used by the CIA, that he wanted to terrify the government. He wanted them to know that he was going to bring down, or at least expose, every last one of them, and that none of them was going to be able to stop this. But I think that Snowden, I think he did a public service with this. I don't believe, like many do, that a lot of the people that are against Snowden, that consider him a traitor, I agree with a lot of their points, some of their points at least, because on paper, Snowden is in fact a traitor. He's broken about a dozen laws. Technically he is a traitor, there's no denying that actually. The main question is whether or not it was the right thing to do. Was this in public service? Was this in service to democracy? Because a lot of the things the government did, in my opinion, were plainly undemocratic. Because it's not that they spy on people that is the issue, it's that people are not informed, it's that they don't tell them that they are spying on them. That is what I think, and Snowden also, at least that's what he says, that's what he thinks is the problem here. It's not about necessarily changing anything about society, it's about sort of sending a message about how the people should get to decide these things, how they need the ability to vote, or at least know about these things. Because even if people are being kept under surveillance all the time, there is an argument for security. And that is definitely true. There is a reason that they are doing this, but it is not ethical, and it's just wrong to go around and do these things without the people's knowledge or consent. Now, you do not have to reveal exactly every surveillance program, but they should at least say something in the lines of, in order to keep national security secure, we need to spy on people, we need to break your privacy. That is what we need to do. They don't have to say we're going to use this exact method and this method, because that would compromise security if potential threats did know about this. But what you need to do is just keep the public informed that you might be breaching their privacy. The polls on what people think about Snowden are actually very, very divided, and I believe that this can be drawn a parallel between this and the concept of the surveillance society. I believe a lot of people that do not like Snowden, believe he's a traitor, do not have a problem with the concept of being kept under surveillance in order to increase national security. I believe that's a parallel there, but once again, all the people need to do is decide for themselves. That is democracy, that is what democracy is, for the people to be able to decide things for themselves. The President, Congress, CIA, they are not supposed, at least in theory, they're not supposed to have more power than the public combined, the combined public opinion. So in the end, is Snowden a hero or a traitor? As I said, on paper he is probably a traitor because he broke about 1 million laws, but so did the government. They did. Supreme Court justices have said that a lot of the actions of the National Security Agency and even the CIA are plainly unconstitutional and undemocratic. So at the end of the day, I do sincerely believe that Snowden is a hero. He has acted in the public interest. Because once again, it is one thing to change society. There is another thing to give society the means to change itself. Which is what I believe Snowden was intending to do here, because he could have done so much else. He could have sold these things to Russia on the black market. He could have exposed it to Chinese security agencies. There's so much he could have done here, but he didn't. He gave it to journalists who gave us, the people, the means to decide for ourselves what we think about this surveillance thing. And at the end of the day, I believe that Snowden fought for democracy in a way that took a lot of bravery.
So in the end, I believe Snowden is a hero and an inspiration. Thank you for your attention.